In this video, we will analyze the match between Napoli and Chelsea. Antonio Conte once again had to bury his dream of winning the Champions League this season. Hosting Chelsea on the final match day of the UCL group stage, his Napoli side were defeated 2-3, causing the Italian club to finish in 30th place. Conte's aggressive tactics initially caused Chelsea problems in the first half. However, tactical adjustments and several substitutions made by Liam Rosenior eventually left Conte looking dejected. The adaptability of Chelsea's coach successfully guided the Blues into the next round. So, curious about how the match unfolded from a tactical perspective? Let's break it down together. An injury crisis forced Napoli to make several changes. On paper, they lined up in a 3-4-2-1 formation. Alex Meret was chosen to replace Milinkovic-Savic. In the midfield, McTominay partnered with Lobotka, flanked by Spinazzola and Oliveira. Up front, Højlund was supported by two attacking midfielders, Elmas and Ferragara. Chelsea, who were also dealing with a defensive crisis, lined up on paper in a 4-2-3-1 formation. James was deployed as a centre-back alongside Fofana. The midfield consisted of Caicedo, Santos, and Enzo, flanked by Neto and Estevan. Up front, Rosenior opted to play João Pedro as a lone striker. Although Chelsea started with a four-man defense, in reality they built up play using a three-at-the-back structure. Cucurella, operating as the left back, stayed deeper and positioned himself as one of the center-backs. One of Rosenier's tactical features was the use of overlapping center-backs. Here, we can see Chelsea adopting an asymmetric build-up shape, where the right and left center-backs positioned themselves higher than the remaining defender in the middle. This tactic was chosen so that when overloads were needed on the flanks, Chelsea's right back and left back, James and Cucurella, were ready to push forward. In this sequence, Cucurella pushes up and provides support to progress the ball to Enzo. Estevan, who started as a winger, frequently rotated positions with Gusto, who advanced down the flank. In this moment, Gusto occupied the half space, while Estevan stayed wide. This rotation was designed to disrupt Napoli's marking structure. To break down Napoli's compact five-man defensive line, Chelsea needed more players in advanced areas. They positioned as many players as possible in a 3-2-5 shape, at least to match the number of defenders in Napoli's backline. Here, two midfielders draw Napoli's midfield press forward, opening space in front of the defensive line, or the space between the lines, which Estevan attempted to exploit. However, the passing combination failed. In this match, Napoli, as the home side, recorded more statistics in terms of duels for ball possession. When Chelsea tried to build up, Napoli applied a high press that made it uncomfortable for Chelsea players to play short passes. To bypass Napoli's pressing block, Chelsea relied on long passes. Estevan was seen dropping deep to draw a center-back out, creating space that João Pedro attacked, receiving a long ball from James. These long balls were not played randomly, but were executed when Napoli's press was drawn forward. This approach also led to Chelsea's first goal. In this situation, James was under pressure and sent a long ball to João Pedro. The ball was initially cleared by a Napoli defender, but Chelsea regained possession. A transition followed, with Gusto playing a through ball to Estevan, who then penetrated forward and passed to Pedro at the edge of the penalty area. A foul occurred, leading to a handball incident. From the resulting free kick, Juan Jesus made an unnatural contact with the ball using his hand. From the replay, it was clear that the Napoli defender's hand moved downward as if to block the ball. The referee pointed to the penalty spot. Enzo, stepping up as the penalty taker, had no trouble converting and beating Alex Meret. One of the defining characteristics of Chelsea under Rosenior is their use of a high defensive line and aggressive pressing. In this match, Chelsea also applied a high press, making it difficult for Napoli to build from the back. However, Napoli had an effective response, using direct passes to bypass Chelsea's pressing block, as shown here. They also built up using a 4-2 shape, with the midfielders staying close together and shifting in line with the direction of the attack. The aim was to create passing combinations and timed runs, as seen in this example. In addition to exploiting the space behind Chelsea's high defensive line, long balls were also chosen so that Napoli could immediately apply pressure when Chelsea regained possession.
As expected, Napoli's tactical approach eventually paid off as they managed to score an equalizer through an individual effort from Antonio Vergara. The goal began with a lofted pass from Oliveira from Napoli's defensive area toward Højlund. Santos initially won the ball, but Napoli's high pressing intensity allowed Oliveira to intercept it again. Vergara, who received the pass, immediately drove into the penalty area. With a brilliant individual move, he beat Fofana and surprised Sanchez with a low shot toward the far post to make it 1-1. Toward the end of the first half, Napoli turned the game around and took the lead through Rasmus Højlund, who finished off a cross from Oliveira. In this sequence, Elmas and Oliveira successfully exposed the right side of Chelsea's defense. Estevan failed to track Oliveira's overlapping run behind him. After receiving a through pass from Elmas, Oliveira delivered a cross into the box. Caicedo was not quick enough to close the space, allowing the ball to reach Højlund, who struck it powerfully. Wing play was indeed Conte's main weapon in attacking Chelsea's defense. His players attempted several attacks down the flanks, but unfortunately, those efforts only produced results just before halftime. In the first half, Chelsea relied heavily on João Pedro as the focal point of their attack. Unfortunately, the lack of cohesion between the striker and his teammates meant Pedro was often isolated and received very little support. Napoli's compact shape, frequently deploying a five-man defensive line, made it difficult for Chelsea to create space on the wings or in the half spaces, unlike in previous matches. A lack of fluidity in midfield also caused Chelsea problems in breaking down Napoli's defense. In response to Chelsea's attacking struggles, Rosenior made several changes. He brought on players such as Palmer, Chukwuemeka, and Chalobah, while withdrawing Neto, Santos, and Malo Gusto. These substitutions also altered the positions of several players. In midfield, Caicedo and Enzo formed a double pivot. Palmer and Estevan operated as dual attacking midfielders on the right and left, while James was pushed back to the right-back position. This setup made Chelsea's play more fluid, as Palmer frequently found space and showed excellent awareness in timing his rotations and passes, particularly in linking up with João Pedro. The partnership between Palmer and João Pedro eventually produced the equalizer in the 61st minute. The move started with a build-up on the right flank. Palmer received the ball from Estevan and immediately slid a pass through to Pedro. The Brazilian striker beat Di Lorenzo before firing a shot into the top left corner of Alex Moret's goal to make it 2-2. Cole Palmer once again initiated Chelsea's third goal, created and finished by João Pedro, which ultimately sealed the Blues' victory in this match. After a Napoli attack down the right side of Chelsea's defense that was successfully stopped, Palmer combined in a quick triangle with Enzo and João Pedro. The ball was then played to Pedro, who had already slipped past two Napoli defenders. A 2v2 situation developed. The former Brighton player chose to strike a low shot toward the far post, beating Moret the third time. Shocked by the setback, Napoli managed to create one clear chance near the end of the match. Once again, the opportunity came from Chelsea's right flank. Kvaska won the ball from Garnacho and passed it to Di Lorenzo. The Napoli captain then delivered a cross, which was met by a right-footed shot from Lukaku, who had just come on in the 82nd minute. Fortunately for Chelsea, Robert Sanchez reacted quickly, allowing the Blues to preserve their 3-2 lead until the final whistle. Thanks to this victory, the Blues secured direct qualification to the round of 16 after finishing in 6th place. Meanwhile, Napoli and Conte were forced to bury their Champions League dreams once again, finishing only in 30th position. In the round of 16, the Blues could potentially face one of PSG, Newcastle, Karabag, or AS Monaco. They will play the first leg away from home before hosting the second leg at Stamford Bridge.